I don't know how to make fancy transitions yet, so I'm just gonna do it like that. Sorry. Well, good afternoon or good evening, everybody who's joining us today. I hope you enjoyed listening to Demo 2's music, and thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody's hearing me fine. I think you are. Oh, hang on. 1 second. 1 second. I want to play my other music. I like to play my. I like to do this now. So, accordion. That was really loud. Okay. Hello again. I don't know if I have music playing in the background like last time. I'm gonna try because that was fun for me. So hi again. I got messages or DMs from Jake. Thanks for the $2. You didn't need to do that, Jake. Can we see Ismay's suites? We will eventually. We got. Let me tell you a story, Jake. We got to get through all this first before we get to Ismay's suite. Right there. That's just we got to do that first, and that's what we're focusing on here first. We're focusing on this before we get to this. That's the thing, and this area here. Well, this area here in the middle of the ship, all these fancy dancy cabins, which I do not. Oh, Zeno's here. Hello, Zeno. Hi, everybody else too. I see a lot of hellos going by. I'm sorry. I want to get this. I want to mention all these fancy cabins, which are in different styles, including Ismay's cabin. Let me make sure I turned off. Well, I'm not going to zoom in anymore. Sorry, I'm going to tease you. These fancy cabins here in Louis the 14th, 15th, 13th, and Adam style, Italian Renaissance, French styles, all sorts of styles. Ismay's cabin, Cardeza's cabin, the Quigs, all these wonderful cabins right here. The period cabins that you might say. I do not model those because that would scare the living daylights out of me. The genius known as they're not the genius. They're already most of this. 99% of this has been modeled right here. These cabins, and they have been modeled by Giovanni Castro, our wonderful modeler. Now he's modeled. I wonder if I can. I keep forgetting I'm in capture, so I can just show you some things. I always go on tangent, so you can thank Jake for this tangent, which is good. And the things that Geo renders, which are amazing, if I could find at least one of them. Come on now, come on! If I find at least one of them. Well, this one I've shared a bunch of times. So this is B59. Took me a minute. On the, I don't like this song. I'm gonna skip it. This cabin is B59. You know, the old Dutch cabin. We've already changed some of the textures on the wall, but this is what Geo models. And he models these all these period cabins. He does the fancy things. The point I'm trying to get to is that I'm going to be today working on these basic boring cabins that you might call. If you're a patron, unfortunately, sorry guys, you've seen me work on these before, and I'm just gonna make sure that they're pretty much ready to go because the rest of the team is getting the forecastle and well deck all set and ready to go. Pretty much the files are going to be transferred to our drive from the modeling side to the engine side to be given over from all the modelers. The scenes are set up to be given to Derek, Vavir, who's the Unreal programmer. And so all this, everything here, everything in the forecastle and the well deck area, I'm highlighting it like this, is going to be put into the engine soon and made to be interactive and such. And so the next thing to be modeled is everything in this section right here. I guess I'll zoom in a bit so you can see it's all this, all these cabins, all these basic cabins. And this is when I think this is when the snowball effect is going to begin, because this is the area where you have the basic cabins, and these basic cabins and basic corridors are all the same. They're not like these fancy cabins that you see and that Geo makes. They're not like this at all. They're not all a bunch of different styles. They're not Old Dutch versus Modern Dutch versus French versus Georgian styles in white or dark woods. They're just a basic paneling, and this is the way that they're done throughout the entire ship, used with the same furniture. And oh, thank you, Shane Ramsey, for a $5 donation. Just a question: how is the lighting done in game? I'm curious after watching the first class cabin video that I just uploaded a video today of a first class cabin, which I called the fanciest cabin on the ship, which is of course on C deck, was the Strauss cabin, Strauss sitting room. So the lighting is all done. So don't look at it like this. This is the in SketchUp basic, awful looking, bare bones minimalist. This is as nasty as you can get. But this is what I have for just the aid of planning it all out. So there's absolutely nothing nice about it. Then there's Geo's version. Now I could basically do this too, where we render something to see what it will look like. Geo models his work. That one's too small. Geo models his work for the sake of rendering, so that he puts it in. He uses SketchUp as well, but he puts it in Unreal. Not in Unreal, excuse me. He does it in before it goes into Unreal, so that we can make sure that the textures match photographs. So what he's done with this room, which you should all, if you know Titanic, can recognize, it is I don't know which one it is. It's the Empire cabin on B deck. So you'll be getting this one. It's B64, everybody. It's B64. So when he renders this, he rendered this cabin, and he then converted it to black and white, and we compared it with the black and white photo to try to see how close it resembles the black and white photo. And then we find some differences to try to modify the textures on the wall, the silk on the wall, for instance. And then what will happen next, when we go into the engine, that's where the magic happens, you could say. And in the engine, let me quickly grab an engine screenshot. That's not the right folder. Oh, Thomas Flosky, thank you for the $10. I appreciate that so much. That's every penny helps us right now, still, especially right now. When you guys, as I'm looking for this stuff, when you guys send super chats and donations, or if you go to Patreon or even go to the store, we've said it many times, but the money does go to help us continue working on the game. It goes directly to the modelers that we hire to where's C55 to pay for this. It helps to pay for salaries for two of the main devs, mainly like James and Dominic, so they can work so they can have more time to dedicate to this, because everyone else needs to have part-time jobs to survive. No one's getting a full-time salary to work on Strauss Sitting Room on Titanic Honor and Glory. So then when we take it to the engine, this is the screenshot that I put on the thumbnail for the video. The engine is what brings it to life truly. You apply certain maps, they're called. If Kyle was here, Kyle's probably not going to be here because he was up all night. Kyle's second love, I guess you could say, is he enjoys astronomy, and he was up all night with his telescopes looking at the stars. So that's why it was maybe Kyle joining us. He would be able to explain the engine side a little bit better. But the engine is what figures out the mathematics and all the programming to create the lights, the shadows. It bounces off of the fabric texture right here on the tablecloth, and that's why it looks like the part of it is raised. But these aren't 3D objects on this chair. It's just a flat surface, but it makes it look like the chair has a raised fabric, and that's all done in Unreal. So to answer the question, it's all done, the lights right here, it's all done in the Unreal Engine. And coming out, it's at the end of the year, or beginning of next year, I'm not sure exactly when. It's something that everybody else is talking about, is Unreal Engine 5, which is going to allow us to put in some more detail into things, which is allowed me to get back into the picture kind of with modeling some things, because if you join the stream on Saturday, I was talking about how I am currently in SketchUp, the modeling program called SketchUp, and the majority of the team uses Maya. Maya is what's utilized for is quite well for why is that right there, for game engine, for transferring models from game engine to the Unreal Engine. And usually what has to happen to convert my models to the game engine is Kyle would take my models, put them into Maya after a conversion process, and then he would clean up my models, remove a lot of superfluous triangles, errors that would pop up in the conversion process, clean them up a lot, and get them ready to go. And that process is probably still going to happen regardless, for optimization purposes. The same is going to happen with Geo's models. When you see these renders right here, they're done for the purpose of rendering this lovely image. So for instance, you see the this inlaid design here on the table. You have the darker woods along the medium woods. The same with this little darker inlay here. Geo probably has this, I don't know, I'm not saying anything negative about Geo's work because I do the exact same thing. Geo probably has modeled this into the wood itself with two different textures, but what would happen when we create the UV maps and of the models is we wouldn't have to create lines, and I'll make you demonstrate what he probably did. What I would do is to create that line right here. Is he would literally just create imagine you want to write at the T in Titanic. This is what we would do in SketchUp, and then we would color it in like that. But that's not technically the correct thing. We'd have to create it in the texture itself, and this entire panel is one texture, and the T in Titanic would be part of the texture file. So that's not the best method for texturing is SketchUp. So that's one of the downsides for this. So it's a good question. There's a lot to go on, but what I'm doing today is I am checking the B deck forward area, because that's what's next after everything here. Boop, 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 boop. Because this is, like I said, all this is getting turned in, and the process is ahead for enginizing it finally, and they want to make sure that that it gets correct for the alpha release, and then the next alpha release is beginning with these corridors and cabins. And all these cabins, it's gonna be fun for everybody. People are gonna get really bored with this. Is you have everything that looks pretty much the same. You have, if you can see here, Titanic has some really fabulous spaces, but they have a lot of repeating areas. So you have cabins here which are just wooden beds or brass beds, and they're all just the same. And you just have either white, and they're all just white walls, and then you have just cabins that are just green carpets or sometimes red carpets. So it's nothing that fancy, and they're just going to repeat constantly. So let me get into this and tell you what I'm doing. I also added some detail once. I got back into adding some more detail because I was able to do so because of Unreal 5. I'm going to go into the chat quickly. I'm confused. I see carpet questions, which I like to answer, because we argue in Discord about carpet questions in our private research Discord. I'm confused about carpet colors in the forward B-deck cabins. I hear they're either blue or green. Well, they're definitely green, and they're definitely, I believe, this leafy color still. There are some blue ones that I have, but I'm not sure if we're keeping them or not. There's this blue carpet pattern, which we're using in places, which is different than the other carpets pattern, which you could recognize from Titanic, which comes in green and red. I think I actually have it here. I'm gonna color it in for really quickly. Whoop, that one. This one, which is a piece of it, is saved from Titanic supposedly. You can see it's different a little bit. You gotta look quickly. You gotta look fast. And it's not made up. It's based off of another ship. But that information for blue carpets comes from Britannic's specification guide, I think. It's always a back and forth with carpet colors and not beds. Well, sometimes beds. There's always a debate about which type of brass bed was used where. I believe. Is this one? This one I have to do. Because there's several type of brass beds on Titanic. Okay, here's the new method for these panels. For a while, these panels are the bane of my existence, and I wish Kyle was here. There was always a way. We were always trying to find a method for. They're going to be all over the ship. You've already seen them in some of the demos, and they're everywhere. They're even in a couple of James Cameron's movies. I mean, there are a couple of them in James Cameron's movie Titanic. You saw them in the Scotland Road, for example. But we have to find a good method for creating them. And I thought at first we'd use a texture, but then luckily Unreal Engine 5's coming out. So the best method is making them. Kyle's bailing because he had to have his sleep. Hang on one second. Let me just make sure by trying to text him. I'm pretty sure he's asleep. I'll give it to him. But the best method for making these wall panels is to make them just like the real-life wall panels. Now, one interesting thing is you can see the dimensions for these wall panels if you were here last time in the ship joinery PDF that I sent a link to, which of course I won't be able to find off the top of my head. Maybe I can, and I'll open it up. Archive.org, and I'm gonna quickly find ship joinery. There's also a page of it in TTSM by Duckworth. Whoop. So now we're going to the research side. Well, I almost opened right to it. Almost. There it is, I think. No, there it is. That's what's all over the ship. This is what we're working with right here. So let's zoom in. I mean, I already have this, but still, I'm gonna show you guys. This is your basic bulkhead framing. If you want to learn anything else about it, here's how they did it up. 5-ply wood, I guess. This type of framing is quite common, especially where the interior of staterooms is finished with tongue and grooved sheeting, and the whole of the room requires to be finished in the same manner, while the passage is to be finished by paneling, often with pilasters and imitation arches. That sounds like more. Oh, I turned the page. That sounds like more like the fancy midships corridors. Figures 376 and 377. I haven't actually read this in a while. That's over here. Okay, I want us to be reading about figures 372. To complete the cornice, a nosing piece is planted on the runner. See section 372. Okay, but I want to read about that. Simple framing. That's what we're talking about. Simple framing. The piece of frame shown in elevation is figure 371. 375. Backwards. 374. 372. Pike. 375. That's the section. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. The point is, we have this right here. How? Oh, there's some. Okay. More French. I'm sorry, I can't read French. How is the deck pitch being modeled? SketchUp model looks like a flat. Yes, we are having. I believe you mean. Oh, I can show you this. It's right here. I believe you mean the shear of the ship, right here. Bevels for fore and aft framing. The curvature of the ship, the shear, which we are taking into account finally, because the for the integration of the exterior, it's vitally importante, and Kyle's rather adamant about it, so it's going to occur. So what's going to happen is that's part of the process of me, for the interiors that I create, such as these simple walls here. I'm gonna, once they get handed over to somebody in Maya, and if you've watched one of Dominic's streams, he has made the entire deck plates using the iron plans, and he did them flat at first, and then he's going to add the shear to those, and then once he has added the shear is added to these panels. Now what's going to happen is, because everything is somewhat in Maya, it's much easier to do than it is in SketchUp, or so Kyle has told me so. It's just, it can be done in simple areas. Now there are areas of the ship where the shear is less noticeable, and it's just going to be it's not going to be done really, such as amidships. But if you're in the forward part of the bow, for example, that whole area has to be modeled with shear, such as under the forecastle deck, because this area here is I'll scroll up here instead. This area here, you can tell, has extreme shear. It is an extreme angle rather, so it can't be modeled totally flat, as you can see right here. While there's certain other areas which are relatively level, such as amidships. As you can see, it's difficult to tell that there's hardly any shear, especially the lower you get amidships. That's why there is actually shear in our Scotland Road model, but because it's so low on the ship and it's an amidship, this is E-deck right here. You can see this is the beginning of Scotland Road, basically right here. This is the middle of Scotland Road right here. Is this E-deck? D-deck? Yes. you can, using just these plans that I made, you can see how little how minimal shear is. You only see shear really in long spaces anyway. That's one of the reasons why for a while I kept saying, you don't need shear. If you're standing in the corridor of the Queen Mary, for instance, Queen Mary corridor. If you're standing in the corridor of the Queen Mary, you can see shear in that ship. This is shear right here. I don't know why there's a picture of like the Hindenburg over here, because this is airships.net. That's not the Hindenburg, but yeah, this is shear, and Titanic wouldn't have as extreme shear as this we've all talked about, so we don't have to worry. But we're not going to be adding shear to every cabin, because cabins are going to be just. Do I have a cabin that I can demonstrate this with? I haven't modeled a single thing I've talked, but I think this one? No. Oh, maybe the old model. So individual cabins will basically be picked up, and I think this is what we discussed about it. A cabin will be picked up and moved to fit with the shear. So everything will be staggered or lowered. Well, things will be staggered to go with the shear that fits the corridor or the hull, unless it's an extreme case like underneath the forecastle or poop deck. So there's definitely shear involved with the plan. So now let me go back to this and explain what I'm about to do to fix this panel. So the best way to fix these, which I've already fixed a lot of them, is to actually make them as if they are the real wall pieces, where we have wood on either side, because that's how they're done. Because you have a piece of wood, and you have thinner pieces. It's basically it's if you imagine a door frame and you have a runner and stiles, because that's what this is. How did the carpet attach to the floor? Asked Dark Moon 3D. Was there wooden flooring between it and the metal decking? The carpet was laid on the litosilo. The litosilo is the underlying material that it was laid on top of the steel deck, and it was somewhat a new material. It's kind of like a plastic that was poured down onto the steel deck, and it was held in with clips that were bolted to the steel. So it seems to me that the carpet was more or less, and maybe if Kyle was here, you could correct me on this, because he did a lot of research on litostyle. He made some cutaways on litostyle and carpeting. The carpeting seems to be just placed on and not even. It might be stapled or nailed to the litostyle in the corners, but you can see photographs of carpeting on Titanic, and it doesn't look like it's. It honestly doesn't look like it was put on in the best fashion. In photographs of cabin B58, which is Louis the time to cheat. Louis the 16th style cabin. You can see the carpeting kind of bunched up, and the room is mostly complete, or so they say, and that's why I believe that the carpeting was just placed, and that was considered finished. This is a thin wall. This wall is an inch and a quarter. So if for to put that into perspective, it's my index finger and my middle finger. It's thinner than my index finger and my middle finger, right there. It's I'm trying. I don't have any coins with me that I can like compare it with. Like I don't even have a U.S. quarter with me, let alone a euro or a pound or a pence or a penny or anything. So I can say like it's about the size of a coin. But yes, it is. It is still very thin. It's hard to tell when we don't have anything to compare it. I know it looks thick, but this is 1.25 inches. Oh, I can tell you what it is in millimeters. I'm ridiculous for all our European friends. It is, or in centimeters rather, it is just over a tiny, tiny hair over 3 centimeters in width. This wall, right there. And something is wrong. I gotta change it. I'm glad I realized it now. Something's wrong. It should be the midpoint, and it's not in the midpoint. But I'll change it after I put that there. 15 feet. These should be the same. I'll show you with these over here. Is there a door in that one? Yes, okay. So usually what I do is I take already finished components, bring them over, and then I change them up to be the next component I need until I build up. But if I already have something done, I'm not going to bother with it. So why is this one incorrect? It must have been an Unreal fix. Okay. So one of the things I changed with, not just this is an Unreal thing, but and oh boy, I can add more detail to my model fix when I heard about Unreal 5, or adding more curves to my corners. So don't let Matt have the ability to have on Unreal Engine 5 be a thing, which is what occurred. So we need to increase these panels by 2.5. Luckily I have a cheat sheet right here. Oh, I don't need to do the cheat sheet right here. But I can still do some math time. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 panels. Take this line, divide it by 9. You're going to see the insanity. Okay, a little under a fourth of an inch. Go in, take it all, and move it over by a fourth. So the reason why I never I put off doing all these walls and why it takes forever is because, and I call these corridors and these panelings and these cabins the bane of my existence, is because it's just repetition and tedious work of just doing it again and again and again and again and again, and I don't know how the shop workers in Harlan and Wolf and the joiners and the carpenters and everybody, I mean, I guess they were getting paid for this, but I can't believe that they did this, and they had, I mean, it was just, I imagine some of them did it on site on the ship to get things to fit perfectly, and then I know for a fact that some things didn't fit perfectly on ship, and they had to just, for lack of a better phrase, jerry-rig things to fit. So there, that makes me more happy. What? Oh, I see. My thing's not even in the right spot anymore. Okay, that's better. Yeah, now that looks better. This needs to come over. Why aren't you in the model? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? You're giving me a hard time. This is a deck cant, which I changed again because I realized that the deck cant has a cut through for the doors, which makes total sense, but I didn't notice it. Kyle noticed it. He's not here, but he noticed it. The deck cants are cut through for the doors to swing through, because of course he did. Of course they did, and of course Kyle noticed it. I didn't notice it, but what are you gonna do? Kyle's a genius. What do I want to divide this by? 6. What do I want to, not divide by, subtract by 6. I did it! I did math perfectly! Okay. And then I want to divide this by, and I don't want to divide it by anything, I just want to move it over. Okay. Half the time I talk to you. Why do I use sketch? This is what I've come to learn and love and just be good with, and I stick, and I suck at everything else. So there's always been arguments to make me go to a different program, and it doesn't seem like it's worth the effort. I mean, not worth the effort, but it's tough to. I don't do enough of the modeling these days. I do like basic modeling. I consider this basic modeling. I can do the setting up of like where cabins and walls go and easy areas. I consider this easy areas. But if I have to do for instance, say, if I'd had, I will not be. Geo's already done these. But if I had to make the furniture for the private promenade, I would not be the one to do the private promenade. This is furniture, because I don't think SketchUp would not be the best way to do it, and I would not be comfortable doing it. I always say that I have a problem with doing curves and organic shapes, and furniture. And furniture have organic shapes often in Titanic's furniture, when you have curves of the legs and furnitures and chairs, and not simple curves like on a round table, but do I have a geo thing still up? Yes. Like scary, very scary. I remember I made this cabin once before when I was more adventurous, and things didn't turn out as nicely as Geo when he makes things as lovely as this. And of course, there's a difference between rendering, making models for a video game versus making models for rendering. So, and again, this is not anything against Geo's wonderful models, but they have to. There's a lot that's going to have to be changed for his models, that because before they get put into the engine as well, and that's just an understanding. And that's before they go into Unreal Engine 5, which we're gonna go to, which someone asked as well. And Titanic had watertight doors, which were vertical sliding doors. I believe her watertight doors counted to number 20. I think she had 25. I don't want to give everything away. 33. Why did I say 25? So she had 32. She had 33 watertight doors. They were numbered on the ship. So this is they were vertical sliding. They're horizontal and vertical. The majority were horizontal. There were only 11 that were vertically sliding. 12 that were vertically sliding. Sorry. I have to, the reason why I made these plans is so I could go to them quickly and be able to tell everybody information. And that's what I have it for. Do you use the models for renders or from renders. We use the models to make renders, and then we use the renders we're going to use the renders of the interiors to show everybody basically what the spaces need to look like in the engines, for example. So when Derek gets to the interior of those first class rooms, Geo doesn't need to be there the entire time, telling him, make the lighting look this certain way. We can just have the render already, and Derek can then try to make it match the render. That's why we have it. It's basically, I call a pre-visualization of what the space needs to look like, and that's not the right panel, I think. Oh, this one doesn't have this one doesn't need a door. Well, I'll just make this unique. I saw another question. How do you make sure your work doesn't get lost? Well, we one of the things that we pay for is a cloud. So we have I just got lost right there. We have a Google Drive for everything that we have, and we have model backups, we have research backups, we have plan backups, we have as much backups as possible. So we have on our Google Workspace. So that's something we have. And Jesse, thank you so much. Looking good, Matt. Keep up the great work on the legendary ship. We're all trying our best. It's not just me. So yes, thank you, Jesse. We are. Excuse me as I take off my glasses and rub my eyes for a moment. We have a lot of people doing a lot on this, and I'm gonna make this unique. No, I'm gonna actually delete that. I forgot. This needs to be completely. Oh, this already is unique. I need to do this. Say goodnight. Bye-bye. 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 There's a lot of people who are putting their heart and soul into this, and we start out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have a group call to talk about what people are working on, and 8 a.m. in the morning, in the Eastern time, and a bunch of us always stay and talk even later after the meeting. K group showings. I'm sorry, I almost missed it. Thank you so much. It's appreciated. Was James Cameron ever a part of the conversation back when you were looking for investors? Did you guys try reaching out to him? So did he respond? Did Bill mention anything about it to him? Is he aware of it? That's a loaded questions, but for what there's some things that I can say and some things that I can't say. I can say that yes, James Cameron is aware of Titanic Honor and Glory. James Cameron has seen Titanic Honor and Glory's videos. He's seen, dang it, I did it again. He's seen the real-time sinking. He's seen, what else has he seen? He's seen the Britannic real-time sinking. He's seen the reception room flooding. He's commented on it. We've read his comments about it. We've worked with him vicariously. Well, not vicariously. I mean, we have worked with him a few times to supply his documentary with the 20-year. What the heck was it called? The James Cameron Goes Back to Titanic, and this is his second final word on the matter. I just raised my hands in the air like Dr. Zoidberg during that moment, because we provided footage for that documentary, and we also there was an exhibition at the what was it called? The Reagan Center. This is wrong. Hang on. There's an exhibition at the Reagan Center in California. The Reagan Library, excuse me. The Reagan Presidential Library in California. And it featured some of the ROV footage that he shot from the Turkish bath and the Marconi room, and we matched the footage that he took with our spaces, so that you had, and it was presented alongside his ROV footage at the exhibition. I think it still happens. So I think it's still it went to Washington D.C., I believe, and I recently, and so you could look at Cameron's ROV footage, and then you could look to the right next to it, and you can see the footage like sync up with the Honor and Glory footage that Kyle recorded, basically. So yeah, he knows about it, but you know, there's a lot going on with all parties, and for one thing, James Cameron is busy doing James Cameron things, including Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, you gotta let him do what he's gotta do. You can't force people to invest, regardless of how interested they are in a subject. You know, but yeah, it's cool enough that they, you know, that they know about it, or they talked about it, and they commented on it. So yeah, I don't know why when I make a first component in the beginning of modeling in SketchUp 2018, which I haven't used until I got this new computer, it takes forever to create it. There we go. So yeah, that was a long-winded question, but yeah, he has known about it, and I didn't want to say that quote magic, but yeah, basically it's somewhat true. All power to him. I rewatched the movie in full. Oh, I need to bring over just a door frame. The other night while I was working, and because I want to, what do I want to do? Because I want to make a Titanic University video. Spoiler alert. With something about the movie. I don't want to give anything else about it away, but you know, and I had you know, always appreciation to the movie. You know, I don't want to ever bash the movie as some people do. It's still still holds up, and I still think it's spectacular, and he put his heart and soul to. Excuse me, it's been a long day. I don't own a TV, but yeah. Let's see. I'm only reading. There's a lot going on, but yeah, I only watch streams. I was watching someone's stream before I even came on, and I was thinking, she's got all her streaming stuff in order. No wonder James was stressed. So yeah. A 1/16 of an inch. Are you kidding me? Okay. I remade my door frames too, so I gotta. Oh wait, it's 50 feet and 6. Watch the door frame. Watch it. Okay. When I redid my door jambs, I redid my door frames, so. That's my most correct door frame so far. Kyle better not change it, saying, it's not as accurate as I would make it. I want to make it more accurate. And then I'll be like, okay, Kyle, go ahead. That was my that was my Kyle impression of, don't tell him I did that. So, here we go. Let's see. Now I gotta look at my own plans right now. Zoom out. Zoom in. Luckily this was all spoiled already. I'm not worried about that. Big copyright notice. Okay. That goes right to the hull. Yes. At least I made Zeno laugh. Okay. I could have looked. I could have looked at my own model, which is what I'm doing. Nobody tell him. I forgot. Okay, 50 feet. 50.5 feet. So yeah, we're just we're still. That's very interesting. We're just going over. I'm prepping all these damn walls. I don't want to, but I have to, because we're getting there. I am planning on. I haven't finished these plans yet. That's the thing. As you can see right here, I got stuff floating on the side. I got engines that are unfinished. I got crap down here. I got empty linen rooms. I got stuff. I got missing stuff. I gotta finish some stuff. And once I do finish these things, I will. I do plan on having these be for sales. So yeah, and I think people will appreciate them. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can finish them in time for the holiday season. The holiday season, everybody. That's my goal. So yes, where are we? It won't be as detailed as this. There's going to be like hidden. There are some things that are just for reference because I don't want. They're not going to be like super sized. Because they're going to be printed as 1/200th scale, and then if they're digital, they're going to be also that scale. So you can't zoom in, zoom. I'm not sure yet. Where are we? I lost my place. Oh, very good. Oh, this is a 13 panel wall. I don't have a 13 panel wall yet. This is a 9 panel, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. I guess I'll just convert this one to be a 9 panel wall. Oh, this is a 9 panel. The 13 panel. This one. Okay, this one's easy. This one I'm gonna keep it as is. You will in the alpha. You will not be able to go to the boat deck. Will you see the boat deck? I think you will be able. Technically, no. No, you won't. I don't think you'll be able to see the boat deck. I think that's the best way I can put it. You won't see the boat deck. You will be able to look up to where the boat deck is, but you won't see the boat deck yet. I don't want to. There's some things that we are planning for. Remember, Titanic will be sitting in Belfast. In this alpha, just like in Demo 3. But it takes place before Demo 3. That's all I'll say. So there's an interesting timeline. Will there be multiplayer in THG? That's very expensive. Everybody needs to give a lot more super chats, buy a lot more ships, and we need to have a lot more patrons because because multiplayer involves servers and lots of things. I wish it'd be fun. There is oh, Shane, thank you. I'll read yours in a second. But there is a Titanic. What is that Titanic multiplayer experience that's been around for like 10 years now or something that you can just explore and have fun with. And I don't mean oh gosh, it's not in. Oh, it was so much fun. Oh, what was it? If someone can remind me what it was. It was a very simple model of Titanic, and that's why you were able to do it. But yeah, Shane, thank you. Eager to explore all these boring cabins that looked more or less the same in the alpha. Does this mean 4B deck section contain? Oh, there's B deck contain a stewardess room? No, it doesn't. The forward B deck does not contain a stewardess room. They gave it a cabin. This is usually where a stewardess cabin would be. On A deck, there's a, I think it was Titanic Chat. I think Jimmy's right. Titanic Chat or Titanic Voyage or something. It wasn't. Roblox was not around yet. It was like RPG or something. But it eventually could sink. And one time there was like a bunch of people there. But yeah, it was this. Yeah, this is where they would have a stewardess cabin. But on B deck, they made it into an inner cabin. So it was a very, very interesting place. Very tight spot. So no stewardess cabin until, I mean, a stewardess's cabin would be more or less the same as one of these cabins. I mean, paneling wise, but it will be. I think it still has. I'm not. I forget what auction catalog said if it had carpeting or not. Some of them had some had carpeting, I think, like the nicer ones in C deck. C deck was the nicest deck they all considered. And this is 4 5/8. It's not. It's not. You gotta fix that. Okay, we're good. And the furniture was different, of course, because their crew. Some stewardesses had heaters on C deck because they're, like I said, that's the C deck is the wealthiest deck. Even on Titanic, it was, even though they had the cabins which extended out the outboard of the ship, it was the C deck is the nicest cabin, nicest deck, I guess you could say. That's really the crew there were treated as nice as the rest of the passengers. That's what the maids and valet saloon is there. The barbershop's there. That's where the fanciest cabins were, as stated today in the critically acclaimed video, Titanic's fanciest cabin. Just kidding. Let's see. Oh, this could make me mad. That could make me mad. $15 feet. Yeah, well, I made it work with that one. Let's see. Will these plans you're working on be given away to patrons? I have considered giving away like test prints to patrons. I did a while ago, actually, in the beginning, give A5 size papers to patrons, to certain patrons. The ones that had the prints, I printed out basically on, just printer paper, little snippets of the plans when I was printing areas to see what it would look like, the line weights, and see if if I added too much details that would be printed or not. And when I sent out 8.5 by 11 prints to people, one month I sent that with them as well, and I had some feedback that it was fun. Matt, how did you measure all the first class areas in C deck? I want to make an interior skill model. It's very difficult. If I'm gonna get into a long ramble about that. Let me go back to let me scroll out to let me scroll out to C deck, for instance. So how how do you measure all the areas on C deck? Well, you have to. It starts with the. Do I have it available? I'm gonna turn off everything. I'm gonna hide everything, but turn off the current layer. Watch this. Line text. No doors. No dash lines. None of that. 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 Okay, we'll keep that. So it starts with where's a good, right here. It starts with these right here, which you can see on certain deck plans. This shows where the frames are of the ship. So these frames, you can also get them by looking at the cross section of the ship. You can see them down below the keel, and they're numbered. And they start directly in the middle of the ship, right here, with 1 and 1. Like 1A, 1F, 1A stands for 1 aft, 1F stands for 1 forward, and they work all their way to as far forward and as far aft as they were frames. And there was a certain distance between them, and that's how I measure the ship. Most plans tell them, even modern plans that are made tell them. Bruce Beveridge's plan says it. I make sure that my plan will say that. They say the average distance between each frame is 36 inches or 3 feet. So basing it off of that, you can go and look at any other plan and see that you can measure rough estimates to see that certain areas were 9 feet or 3 frames wide, or a single bathroom, for instance, was roughly 3 feet wide. Let's go to C deck and give you a better example. Because nothing is, I mean, it's unless you want to get really detailed and go and get the go to the source, which is go to oh, that's not right. I'm going to give you a website. You can go to the National Museums of Northern Ireland, and you can go to their collections, and you can go to get the iron plans of Titanic. As many as they have, they don't have all of them. We're still missing some of the ship. This looks fun like this. You can see that. You can see. I can show you what this ship looks like this, because this is not showing any detail, or at least it's showing detail that I don't mind showing, because it's just where the walls are. And you can get the iron plans of the ship, and you can try to desperately interpret those to make your deck plans, because I will open up one of the deck plans now. I'll open up the B deck iron plan, because we're working on B deck so much. So this is fun to read. This is B deck's iron plan right here, and as you can see, I already have a headache just looking at it, because it's always quite awful. And so this is what you have to work with. And of course, it doesn't show you where cabins are. It just shows you where the ironwork are. And here you can see where all the beams are right here, these dashed lines, and it shows you actually the length of the beams to the in the number. So there's two beams that make up this long length right here that goes across. You have two of them, and they're 35 feet 2 inches, and it's right here you have, or it just goes right to here. I'm sorry, because obviously there's a web below. I got to make sure I got that, and then you have 20 feet right here. So if you add 35 feet 2 inches plus 35 feet 2 inches, because you have two of them, 35 and 35 is 70, right? And then you add the 20 feet, which we know that we have right here, 10 feet plus 10 feet. So that's 35 plus 35 plus 10 plus 10. That's 75. That's 70 plus 20, which is 90. So you can see right here that B deck right here is 90 feet 2 inches wide. So it's fun to read their measurements and how they did it. You can see that you have one long beam right here where there's no casing, and you got one that's 90 feet 3.5. And you have that for most of the ship here. You got an 89. You see where you got the ship slowly starting to taper in towards the bow right here, because you got 90 feet 3.5, and you suddenly got 89 feet and a half. And then you got 90, well, I guess it tapers back out. I don't know. Very confusing. And you got, there's all sorts of details that you gotta be able to interpret. Like right here, you got, here's a note that's specifically for Titanic, I guess, versus Olympic. Beam knees, 72 plates, 80. Because you see 401. Be good if this was in color, because if it was in color, and if it, here's a better version of the plan. If it was in color, then we'd be able to read the changes in the notes. So yes, it's so you can see here's blue. So these plans aren't just in black and white; they're in color when you get them. Like this one right here. Look at these windows. They painted the windows. Yeah, these are, someone on Facebook asked on the Titanic Honor and Glory fan page on Facebook, which we have, what plans do we use to make the ship? And I didn't want to answer. I wanted to see what everyone said, because I wanted to see if people took it seriously or not. Some people were rude and said like Titanic plans, and I was ready to say like, well, there are no Titanic plans. But we use as many plans as we possibly can for all ships, including right here. This is, as you can see, it's technically Titanic, but it's mainly Olympic, 400 to 401. Here's Titanic, Olympic, but there's Titanic specific notes involved in it right here, 401. T-bars only. Or there's T-bars for here. There's the doors moved right here, which doesn't actually make any sense. But well, here's Britannic. We use Britannic plans. But yes, that's what happens, and we use them as much as possible. We will see a lot of beams, because the beams right here are the beams that I was talking about that run along those beams that I was doing the math for, or we're saying were 90 feet in length, because they didn't hide the beams always, especially in these basic quote-unquote boring cabins that I always say. They use them as part of the decor somewhat. They try to hide them by, that's an old beam. What in the world? This is not a new beam. Where am I? What world is this? Oh yeah, here's the beam. This is the beam. So let me turn on the, So what they would have, this is not right either. Okay. I'm glad I'm looking at, oh, this makes sense. So yeah, they have you you have your beam right in the ceiling. You have a lot of they left structural elements above exposed. It wasn't that uncommon. There's the steel above is just steel above, and if you only had the fanciest cabins amidship like this, you know, we're used to seeing Titanic, and the common person just assumes every cabin looked like Cal and Rose's cabin like this, but the average Titanic cabin, you're going to find out, was something like this. Well, I don't know why it's like this. This is very sudden and very off-putting. It needs to be fixed immediately. What is this and why are we doing it? Ode to Joy. Is this the same playlist I played last time? I need to find better free music. Okay. Alright. That scared me. There we go. That's much better. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Were there carpets in the corridors too? We can't be 100% certain about that. I don't think there were carpets in most of the corridors in first class. I think just in the fancy midship corridors that connected to cabins like this on B and C deck. I don't think there were I don't think there were carpets in these corridors, perhaps. Oh, Jesse, thank you. Give me access to limited stimulants and Celine Dion playing in the background, and I'll have the development completed in 2 weeks. You sound like Geo, but I'll leave that as that. Same songs for sure? Yeah, I think so. I'll work on that eventually. I can't play anything. I don't want to play anything that will get me in trouble with the law or the YouTube man. Let me show you. Speaking of things that are plain and dull. Thank you, Jesse. We're trying to take our time to get it right, but also get it done. Why is it like this now? This can't be right. Okay. Yeah, I looked for specifically. Well, I could find like classical music, and that's fine. I will do that next time, Jimmy. Thank you. I'm stealing stuff. Oh, this is a good question. Will the stern roll over in the final game? So, yeah, people want to know, will the ship sink? Or how will the ship sink? Oh, play some ocean waves. Very peaceful. I do. When I like to meditate, back when I was being responsible and taking care of myself, that's what I like to listen to. But yeah, we all hope the ship will sink, which is really weird to say in the sound. It sounds weird. What is that doing? Okay. However, I stick my hand out and put a finger like. However, we have to make What are you? What are you? We just want to make sure. We just want to make sure that we have our ship ready to go first. We don't want to um, go crazy with a lot of. We don't want to overpromise things. It's easy to overpromise and then underdeliver. I'm having issues with this new thing. Well, that's not right either. If you found out some of your areas were inaccurate, what would you do? Asked Logan again. Well, that's, yeah. I mean, it depends on what the area is and how big of the inaccuracy would be. For example, Logan, I know of a minor inaccuracy down in the reception room on D deck, which is where we started everything. Back when we did like our very first demo and all that stuff, and none of you would. I don't mean this in a negative way. Like, none of you would ever notice. I wouldn't notice. I didn't notice. I didn't know it was an error. I mean, there's things that it was hard to even figure out back then. But the error in question is actually kind of apropos or whatever, is that the heaters along the baseboard heaters in the reception room are too tall, so they're out of proportion with the rest of the room. And the person who discovered this was Ken Marshall when he was looking through the reception room, and of course he would. So he pointed it out, and the thing was, now I can't not see that the heaters in the reception room are way too stinking tall, and I look at it and I think, yeah, of course they're too tall. Well, how did I not notice that I made them too tall? They look comically tall, and it's just so obvious. Like, how did I not know that? Why didn't I just make them like the same height as the heaters, the heater grill in Anik? Well, I didn't visit Anik yet, but I don't know. But to fix the minor height issue of like an inch of the heaters would require going back and changing all of the walls in the entire reception room and dining saloon for all that area. And it's such a huge thing. It's like, okay, this isn't like the most vital and important thing in the world. No one's going to cry about it and say, the team at THG didn't do their research and got the ship wrong. They have like one thing out of proportions, cancel the game. It's, but if we discovered a huge epic change, such as the furniture in the reception room had what was blue, I don't know, then we'd retexture it and we'd send out a patch. I think that's how we'd fix these things. It's not something. It's something that we decided upon, that we've spent so long striving for accuracy. We kept saying, like, we're gonna take our time to get the ship done right. So if we suddenly want to just speed through this, I almost swore, speed through this, then we're what's the point then? We got to make sure that we're doing it right regardless. So if we find a little error, we'll come back to it, and I think I have a little error right now. Oh no, I gotta bend my ship in. So yeah, you don't. So let's see. As you move tweak objects, do they lock to each other objects? No, not in SketchUp. I think they somewhat do in Unreal. I mean, in SketchUp they do have. I do have. Oh, I just see my columns there, my pillars. In SketchUp, I do have the ability. I do have like snap lock, and you can see I have angle in. So I have a form of it, and it snaps onto the axis. Yeah, some artistic license comes in a lot. Bill Sauter calls it, set dressing. And there comes a time where we have to just call it a day and say, wait a minute, I still have to look at this. We have to just say like, well, all right, to our best ability, to our knowledge, the ship looked like this. We have a best guess. We have an educated guess. And this is what it is, and we're going to let you guys know why it's like this with our we're not just gonna leave you in, we're not just gonna leave you in the dark about it. We're going to tell you via our website, via our log entries, etc. But we're going to let you know, and quite often we have to question like why the Edwardians picked something to make the ship look the way they did, and I often question why they picked something, because sometimes Titanic looks disgusting on the inside. Quite often, Titanic looks less Titanic than you want it to look. I'm sorry if I'm missing some questions also that I'm getting. You don't have presets to certain global elements like heaters, floors, certain walls, etc. We definitely do, but these I think I still have a folder open. The heater in question that I'm discussing, I'll show you really quickly because I now made such a big deal about it, is not really a preset. It is not really a standard heater, and here it is right now. You can see it is part of the bulkhead, part of the wall itself. And when it comes to the reception room, this D-deck reception room, great, I'm quoted as saying that now. But we started with the reception room. And I feel like that was both a wise choice and a folly, because the reception and dining saloon are two of the biggest spaces on Titanic, and we picked those spaces. We had to pick the grand staircase because it was kind of the most famous area of the ship. That's why we have the demos which focus on the grand staircase in first class. It's because these areas are most well known, and that's why we don't have a demo focusing on just the cargo holds. As cool as some people might think that is, we don't we don't have just arbitrary spaces like like a few third-class cabins. We picked the opulent grand places, but because of that, we were still kind of, lack of a better phrase, novices when it came to making anything. So, and researching things too. We learned a lot after the fact. So, yes, this down here, and you can see this really tall heater grill is to me it's so obnoxiously tall. It needs to be, it's too high, and that's what Ken noticed. It needs to be changed, and you can see things that are just like, what, Kyle, what happened here? What happened here in your unreeling? and that can't be unseen. Why is this? Why are these two panels just out of whack? What did you do here? It's just, and now also this whole area, I keep losing where Unreal 5, the Unreal 5 image went. We put this stuff in Unreal 5 just to see what it would look like really quickly, and I have the screenshots of it, but I don't know where I put them. Which sounds like I'm trolling or teasing, but I swear it's a thing, and I don't know where I put them. It's not on my desktop. Maybe it's in my folder. One of the things I'm happy about Unreal 5 so far is because the lighting is different. I guess. And that means that we don't have so much of, as Ken calls it too. I mean, Ken's not the final. I mean, he's practically the final say in most things, but he's not the final say in everything. But UI is it in this folder? Nope. But Ken calls this off-white white, but like we Disney-fied it because it looks like it's been painted white and all the corners are accented to make it appear as if it is in the Haunted Mansion ride or something, as he called it, and that's just something that's always happened from Yes Please. I'm gonna open Discord and hopefully I don't leak everything. Which I just did, but yeah, the off-white looks. I mean, it shouldn't be off-white. It should be a nice crisp white. So yeah, 1 second. I got a good response for about some new plans, and now the plans are paid for. This is from Zach. Thanks, Zach. Okay, Matt, here's the sum of funds. Please place my grandfather's gold watch in the safe on C deck. We shall, Zach. Thank you. Because you have given quite a bit before. Thank you. Well, now I'm not going to show any screenshots of the thing. There. Well, I look at this. So we like how the white is looking. I mean, some of the texture still needs some changing, but you'll see that it's much nicer in my opinion. I think this was just placed. I don't know if I don't think Derek's here. I think Derek's still working. But this was just placed into Unreal 5 just to test it right away, and all they did was just they turned on the lighting outside, and that's it. So yeah, you can obviously see that there's some problems with reflection still. But where's another one? Well, speaking of the nicest, the prettiest cabin on board the ship, V64. That's Empire, isn't it? I believe it's. This is B64. This is B64 right here. I'm colorblind, so I have to show you the actual image. And one more Unreal image. Maybe not that one. Yeah, let's try this. Well, do I like this one? Whoops, sorry everybody. It's not so bad. Oh yeah, they modified the lighting a little bit. So yes, this is just a quick test in Unreal 5, and I do believe this ship will sink. No, I do believe there was a silly video that we posted on Patreon, which had all the candelabrums, which included all of their polygons. I do think it. I don't know if it's this one or not, but in some of these renders with the grand staircase, the newel posts right here, the newel carvings that are on the that are right here, they're not bump map textures. I don't know if it's this one or this one, but it might not even be this one. But Kyle said that it could be another one that Kyle did, but they replaced the texture or the bump map or the something or other, and they put back in the carving that Kyle did with all the polygons into the newel to see how performant. It's definitely not this one because I can see the pulling of the texture, to see how performance would change. And there was it looks like the ship's sinking, and there wasn't so much of a performance drop, which is nice to hear. Yeah, there still needs to be some literal polishing, like right here on this guy, he needs some polishing. But I don't, like right here, I like how, my biggest joy is that the white, I don't see any of this weird, the white looks more crisp. I like that. So that'll be enjoyable. I like how the light hits off these columns too, right here. That's quite enjoyable. I just saw a question. I just lost the question. Will we be able to, Morgan's asking, will we be able to explore the ship at night with no moon and still water like it was before it hit the iceberg? Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. There will be, the ships in the Alpha shall be docked in Belfast, and there's reasons for that. But we are implementing, I believe we talked about it in one of the dev streams before, Oh, excuse me. Let me just take one sip of water real quick. There will be a day-night cycle implemented because Unreal Engine 5, and you will be able to have the night cycle go, so you can have nighttime, no moon, just the way it was. And one thing about that is that's you know, and rightfully so, it's just like it was before the ship hit the iceberg. And the best part about having it at sea, if we do that, is we don't have to worry about having a Belfast. So that's easy to do, and we have talked about that too, instead of having the ship at Belfast, to give it an option. Or how about a flashlight? The power goes off at night. We love the idea of flashlights. We have talked about flashlights, definitely. Most definitely. Torches. I believe I found an advertisement for a specific torch in a 1914 catalog, C catalog, which had the well, you definitely still want a torch or a flashlight when you're on board the ship, because there's lights, but you're going to, if you really want to look at something close, especially when you get to the lower decks, even just D deck in areas. Back to my plans. There's areas where you have sparse light bulbs. Yeah. Now I have the hiccups. There's sparse lighting conditions, and we want to make sure we have the accurate lighting. We don't want to have Hollywood lighting. We don't want to have overly dramatic lighting like James Cameron. Sorry, but his lighting was like that for a reason, because it's a Hollywood motion picture, and you have to be able to see what's on screen. And so you want to be able to, if you need to go into this room right here, which has just one light bulb, you might need to take out your torch and your flashlight and be able to see more around it. I don't know what this room is. I don't want to tell you guys what this little space is right here, which even goes under the stairs, or this little space right here, which I've added, which is not a lot of plants. I did just see another question by SC133A. Do you plan to add imperfections on anything to increase realism? Yes, most definitely, because Titanic, I'm quoted as saying that Titanic was disgusting inside, and I will also be quoted as saying Titanic wasn't perfect inside. And I told a little story about, I definitely need Kyle here, because Kyle can tell stories while I model, because I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Someone also asked earlier about the carpeting, and here we have two types of carpeting. I have like 4 types of carpeting. Ooh, I have McBride. This carpeting is called McBride. That's McBride. That's on E deck. But the carpeting is just placed on top of litisilo, which is a plasticky material which is poured on while hot on top of the steel decking. But the carpeting, I'm going to find an archival photo for you all. One of the biggest imperfections that I've seen on Titanic herself in photographs is that her carpeting is not perfectly smooth, is not laid. I mean, if a professional carpeting company came in and laid carpeting down in your home like this, somebody would want to not sue them, but would probably say, "Hey, well, what's up with this? I mean, it's all lumpy. What's going on? It's all lumpy bumpy. Look at this. It's got lumps and frumps and grumps. Redo it. But you know, you got huge seams going across the carpet. Where, I mean, granted, it was still probably. If you look at the table right here, look at all this dust from construction and such. It's probably still. I mean, Robert Welch just came aboard. Look at that. I mean, burp, 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 look at that. This is Titanic. This is your ship of dreams, everybody. Here's an interesting thing I can do right now. Geo forgot a hook. Geo, you forgot the hook. This could be C deck. No, I don't think it's C deck. I think it is B deck, but yeah. Geo forgot a hook, but yeah. Goodbye, Jonah. Are you going to the art contest? You said good luck. So yes, there are little imperfections. Well, it looks like they did B60 perfectly fine, except for the seam. But yeah, maybe they're just getting around to it. There are imperfections around Titanic. Here we go again, the carpet all messed up. So there are, the ship is not, whoop, look at that. The ship is not perfect. This is, I believe once, and this isn't a Titanic only thing. I've seen this on Olympic. I've seen this on other ships which weren't Olympic class. I've seen this not on just Harlan and Wolff built ships. This is almost like the standard carpet laying practice of the day. So yeah, you have to look at these ships and see that before it was a little different in standards back then. You have you have exposed piping in a first class cabin, and everyone's mind goes insane. They think that this can't be first class. We get that all the time still on in Facebook comments, and it's fun to watch people go like, no, this can't be Titanic. This can't be first class. And you say, yeah, that's a first class cabin. But it's really not a first class cabin. I like to argue that because, and like the cabin I'm talking about is here. I'll show you guys all that right now. Where is the cabin? I'm gonna tear down the ship and start again. The cabin I'm talking about is this cabin. Simple. It's on D deck. They see this cabin and they say, and you tell them this is a first class cabin, and they think, what? That can't be a first class cabin. Look at it. It has pipes everywhere. It looks ugly. How is this first class? And you tell them, well, yeah, it's the first. It's the lowest. It's like the lowest of the lowest first class almost. This is basically all you. I mean, if you want to go cheap across the Atlantic, this is what you do. People wanted to just cross the sea, so why not? I mean, and technically, this cabin really quickly became an alternative class cabin, I believe. I see a lot of questions, and I want to stop ranting. I don't see questions. Now, why did they put a single bed in a cabin that already has a couple's bed? Oh, do you mean back in this cabin right here, where there's a single bed and a double bed? These are, I mean, technically, this cabin only holds 2 passengers. This cabin, I think anyway. This cabin, line text? Yes, I think so. 130. Nope, that didn't help me. That cabin technically only. yeah, these cabins are supposed to only hold 2 people. So that bed is only for, what the heck is this? That cabin is only for 1 person. Most of the beds are only for one person on Titanic, regardless of the width of the bed. So even though it has 2 pillows, or it looks like it's a double bed, it's still technically a single person bed. Um, just like just like just like any of these beds. They're all single. They're just all single person beds, and messed up carpet right there. Um, but they are a little bit smaller. So that's why you have those in the suites as well. And I've seen several of these beds in person a couple times, and they small. They pretty small. I mean, this I could fit in the bed in this direction. I wouldn't have a problem width-wise, but I'm tall. I don't think I'd be able to fit in the bed like this. So yes, these rooms all have extra. I mean, no, they don't. Where's B deck? Oh, up here. So let's turn back on some cabin fittings. So in our cabins that we have up here in B deck, we have a lot of single cabin rooms. But all these inside cabins, some of them are bibby. Bibby cabins mean they have this weird like corridor which goes to a window or a porthole on the side of the ship to allow in fresh air ventilation, which is what we got right here. They all have one bed, but they can sometimes double, and only when they are in the busy season will they usually allow this. They don't always allow this for sofa berths. So these are sofa berths, and so this is usually a single person cabin, but you know you can say, hey, White Star Line, I wanna book a passage on your ship. It's a seasonal season. You're busy? Oh yeah, we're busy. Can you do an inside cabin with a sofa berth? Okay, White Star Line. I don't have to pay as much, do I? Oh yeah, that's fine. You just gotta pay a little bit for the seasonal sofa. It'll be just the cost of a seasonal ticket. And they'll be like, oh, okay, White Star Line, thank you. And then you pay for that. And you have the same thing with like A-deck cabins, because because they were also seasonal berths with their settees as well, sofa berths. And then you had certain cabins like on C deck, which had some overhead berths, the Pullman bunks, which I think I had a photo of. These guys right here. These bunks which drop down from the ceiling, which you can see in demo whatever the heck they are called. The last one with Robin, demo 3. This is a Pullman berth. It folds up and folds down. In certain rooms, it was all the time. In certain rooms, they would put it in. So depending on if it was the high season being summertime. So if it was the high season, what's this? I'm glad I turned off some layers. So if it was the high season, you call and you didn't want to be like, hey, White Star Line, I need to put 3 people in, and they put you in a room with they put the berth in like right here. And this is it right there. So that's the lesson on the Pullman berths. I still have no Kyle to save me. Save me as in unable to do two things at once. So for birth, the extra furniture was birth. Separate rooms for your partner sounds like a dream. Well, the engines reciprocate. I hope they do. That's pretty rude if they don't. Oh, hi, Betsy. Welcome again. Edith Russell said she had 3 staterooms on A deck. Does documentation support that? Does it even make sense? Okay. Lots of love to Edith Rosenbaum Russell. May she rest in peace. She's a little bit of a sensationalist from everything I've read and learned about her. But she had what I read recently from I think Dan Clistener told us this. I'm not sure, but is it Ray Blade purchase time? Hi, Ray. But it thank you so much. But I think I think what happened was here's a little story that I think Dan told us, a tidbit on passenger research. Let's go to the plans. So here's A deck. So she had A11. She had one of these over here, I think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. She had one of these cabins. I think A11. I think it was this cabin specifically because I think this is her washstand that's still in the wreck. And I think Archibald Gracie's friend, what was his name? Kent or something? What was his name? Someone help me out here. But he had this cabin, or a cabin next to hers, and Bruce Ismay upgraded his cabin to one of the suites, supposedly. And that's freed up the cabin adjacent to her, and they were all like, yeah, okay, sure, just put your stuff in that cabin. And that's how she was able to put things in her cabin. So she at least had one cabin full of her trunks and her stuff. I'm not sure I forget what the name of Archibald Gracie's friend was. He was with him when the ship was sinking. Clinch Smith. Why did I think it was Kent? There's another passenger named Kent. It's not him. But yeah, Clinch Smith. His cabin was upgraded by Ismay. Ismay apparently was very enthusiastic about the voyage and was upgrading certain passengers. But yes, so there's some Edward Kent. Thank you. That was who I was thinking of. Random passengers. That's I'm randomly thinking of. May they rest in peace. But yes, and again, thank you, Ray, for the £9. That's the story that I believe in the tidbit that's I don't know what's playing now. I might have accidentally clicked on opera piece that Daniel told us about, and it was a very good. It was a nice story. Yeah, I think this area would have been a nice little place for her. I turned off the windows. Hang on. So she, in theory, could have. She said she saw the iceberg and everything, and I felt it, and she told a lot of stories. So, I mean, she could have looked out and seen the iceberg. Oh dear. Oh dear. What's going on here? Oh, this will not do. Okay. She could have seen the iceberg, etc. I mean... Oh dear. What were the warm air trunks for? To deliver... Oh, right here? Let me turn on some... I don't think I have them. Oh, maybe I do. No, I don't have them on A deck. The warm air trunks are exactly what you think they're for. They deliver warm air, not hot air, warm air to passenger areas. So basically you have you have all these vents on the top of the houses. Um, these ventilators, which you look at a photograph of Titanic and you see these big vents on around the funnels. They suck in air, and most of them are to deliver fresh air or extract fresh air to the passenger areas, or also to extract foul air from bathrooms and such. But some of them take in fresh air and blow it over heaters. There's a bunch of heating tubes in these areas right here, and they blow the air over the heaters, and the air is to be warmed as it goes over the heating tubes, which are it's steam heated. So the air is warmed and then it's pumped down into the passenger areas, and it is sent out sometimes into the corridors through little vent grills right here. And it's also supplemented by steam radiators. That's what this is right here. This is a steam radiator that's covered by a vent grill right here. And Christina Boyle, thank you for the $5, and you're welcome for the live stream. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you're enjoying learning about Titanic as well. And there's also a bunch of electric radiators in first class, but many passengers in second and third class did not have electric radiators, and they had to just rely on the warm air trunks to deliver air. And according to some second class passengers and third class passengers and first class passengers, the warm air delivery did not work properly. I did a Titanic University story about what's her face. Anita Shelley, who was in second class and complained that it was ice cold, and she needed a better cabin. So there was always problems in the beginning with Olympics ventilation and heating. So it wasn't always the best situation with getting warm air to the ship's areas. But is this the new? This is the old. But indeed, all of third class, all of second class were provided with warm air, including into the cabins. All of the dining saloons, including third class, had steam radiators, so they weren't freezing while they were eating. And this is how they were kept warm. But there was no real form of air conditioning. They would use electric fans in the first class dining saloon because it got way too hot with all those light bulbs, hundreds and hundreds of light bulbs. They'd have to open up windows, and if the ship was if Olympic, because Titanic didn't survive long enough, if Olympic, Titanic's identical sister ship, was in rough seas, they could not open up the portholes to allow for ventilation, and they all were suffering and sweating and stinking up the place, basically, in that hot room. So yes, that's how the cabins in the interior was somewhat kept in climate control. I just noticed this. What deck this is? There's a slight curve in the superstructure. Oh yes, though we talked about this a little briefly earlier about the I still have the thing open with it. The shear of the ship, which is a good question. And you can kind of see it right here. We do have. Ooh, I can just hit that button. We do have a plan to implement the curvature or the shear of the ship, which is, I will quote a Titanic historian, who I do quote him a lot when he talked about shear and how and how awful it is, but it is a bitch to implement. That's his exact words, I believe. Sorry, everybody, we're no longer PG, or we are PG, but we do have plans to implement it. It's not as noticeable in a lot of areas, which is nice, but we have to make sure it is implemented to fit with the exterior of the ship, at least the upper decks, and where the ship is. And the ship really has extreme shear, like right around underneath the forecastle and under the poop deck. It's not so noticeable amidships in the middle and the and lower you get, and you can only really notice it when you're in a long open space like a corridor. So if you're in a cabin by yourself and you can't really see it looking around you because you're just in a square space and you can't tell how long you're going back and forth. You're just in a box and you can't see the curvature of the box like this. So that is a fair question and a good questions. Will we get to see images of the new midships corridor models? Right. Oh, you mean oh yes, yeah, I even said amidships. Eventually, yes. That's very soon. THG soon. Probably not. Probably once we are getting close to the alpha release, and this stage is ready to be put into the engine, and the other stuff is being plopped in, and other stuff is coming out, and I'm making sure that all that is ready to go because, because after this stuff is all ready to go, kind of, then we have this little piece to go, and then we have corridors that have to be ready to go. That's my stage of updates for everybody. So, because this area right here is essentially we don't do anything to it because it's already been done for a while, which is nice. So then we just have to double check and redo stuff in here in these corridors because there are changes to the midships corridors, because as you asked too, Derpy, there's you want to see new images of that. Any cabins on B deck with a Sheraton style of furniture? Let me show a picture of what the Sheraton style is, and then let me say why I don't like it and why I say no. So this is the Sheraton style. This is the Sheraton style of furniture, and this is supposedly a photograph of Olympic. Now the hot debate, the hot ticket is that this is one of Olympic's B-deck forward cabins, because it looks like everything matches Olympic except for 1, 2, and 3 right here. It's basically saying that Sheraton is this unique style that they put in for the sake of fitting out Olympic, and it's very now, of course, there's lots of reason. I mean, it does look like Olympic because you have this window right here, which matches Olympic's very forward-most cabins, I believe, off the top of my head. The settee matches Olympic. The carpeting matches Olympic. The bulkheads matches Olympic. Everything else, this matches Olympic. Yada yada yada. But we've never seen this anywhere else in Olympic, and never seen this anywhere else in Olympic. Never seen this anywhere else in Olympic. These styles don't match Olympic, nor does the heater. So there's things that just don't match Olympic. So it's called the Sheraton style because this is model of a Sheraton. So it's but of course in Titanic, none of this has ever been seen. All the B-deck cabins forward of the grand staircase have pretty much been obliterated by the forces of water as the ship was sinking and as the bow was heading down to the seabed. Several of these windows on the very forward bulkhead of B-deck were broken, and when they broke, they had a big inlet of water, and that flow of water just went through the entire, just went through all of it. So I think like this, if this window broke, and so it just went like this, it just smashed like everything to bits and pieces, and all this is just gone. And so when James Cameron went in with his little bike, he went inside and he discovered that like all that's gone. Like it's not even like A deck above where you can see bed frames around and twisted and stuff. It's just devastation. Just there's nothing really left there. There's no evidence of whatever we can see. Yeah, but what this is, if it's Olympic, I'm pretty sure this is Olympic only because B deck was completely changed for Titanic, of course. And it seems like what they were doing was filling it out with their whatever they had on stock. And yeah, there's none of these beds have been accounted for in Titanic anywhere. And for the simplicity's sake, I don't want to make any more cabins, any more style cabins. But of course, when I mean the ship traveled to the seafloor, I'm sorry. But of course, if more evidence comes to light, this would be a case for when we would patch in an update and change the furniture. Is there curvature noticeable on Scotland Road? There is somewhat, and the curvature that's noticeable on Scotland Road is actually already in Demo 3. That's how noticeable, or how unnoticeable, the shear is that low in the ship, amidships. You don't have anything crazy, and it's pretty it's not even, I'll go back to my plans again. I did this before. I think this is F deck. Stop it. This is E deck. E deck. I might have made it confusing with that speech, but yeah, this is a straight line, and you can see that Scotland Road, starting from like around the grand staircase, just goes not even that much of a curve. You can just see it kind of go up. And if you go in the demo and look at the doorknobs, you can see the doorknobs just go whoop, kind of go up a little bit. And that's all it is. It's nothing significant. It's nothing like the Queen Mary where you can go whoop, or one person can stand on one end and you can kind of not even see them because the ship has like a convex, I don't know. The ship has a curve like that. So it's pretty tame down there. Pretty sure cabins would have been wiped out during the sinking. Yeah, that's what happened. Just on A deck, they're pretty. I mean, on A deck things are destroyed, but it seems like it's destroyed because of decay. Like all these bulkheads and such are. And on D deck too. On D deck especially because you didn't have any water flowing in from the bow pushing aft as the ship nosedived. I'm not coming up with these theories. I'm just reiterating things. But on D deck you still have furniture in their places where it was just collapsed. Like you have bunks, like those Pullman bunks I was talking about, where they would have been attached to the walls have fallen just straight down. Were front cabins wiped out on other decks aside from B deck? Yes, like the officers' cabins. You have those forward ones right here. You have these walls splayed out somewhat. If you look at if you look at that painting by Ken Marshall of the bridge front of the wreck in 1985 and in 1912, you have the walls of the officers' quarter peeled away, and that's because and you have the wheelhouse gone. That's because all this was pushed away from the water flowing in. As the bow's going down, you have water flowing this way as the bow's going this way. So everything is going, so all this, and this is all wood right here, so all that gets pushed out and destroyed, along with this, which is all wood, pretty much, and then all this right in here is just left to be pretty much removed and destroyed, because that's all wood. And then I imagine they've never explored any of this in here. This all gets pushed back, and that's pretty much all you're left with. And that's what's in there. And I gotta make sure I don't really delete anything. Okay, good. There ended the lesson. And it sounds like it's a scary thing. It sounds like it's a scary thing. My music stopped. Oh, I went through my entire playlist. I definitely need to use Spotify and find a fuller playlist. There was a cabin in the wreck that still had glass in the... Yes, there was. Which is weird because, you have... you have the windows in the reception room and in the dining saloon staying intact and on their hinges, basically, and they're made of somewhat delicate stained glass. And then you have a glass, which I guess could have when the ship hit the bottom of the floor bed, it could have done a little jump and stayed put, but you have parts of the decking. Imagine this is the deck. You have the little silo in places, like the purser's office, which we explored the other day. You have the decking being pushed up like this in places around the ship. So, and you have extreme forces going on around the ship, and then you have delicate areas. You have delicate areas just, and almost like nothing's happening in other areas. So, it's amazing what forces are at play and what's and really it's just the chaos and the randomness of it all, I guess you can say. There was a debate on whether the sitting room of E.J. Smith was oak or painted white wood. Do you know? Greetings from Antwerp, where Rosenbaum lived. Oh, neat. Greetings, Arthur. That's a good question. That's a good question. We're debating it too. We have several. Guys, I'm gonna show you some stuff. Hang on. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Where is the render of Captain Smith's sitting room? I'm going to show you this, and I might head out in a little bit, because some of us have to eat supper. And like I said, Geo models things and renders it so we can get an idea of how we think it might look, and if we like what it is, and then we show it to the research people on our team, and our historians, and then we say like, yes, and then we say no to this part, or we say we think that this should be changed or something, and that's what we were talking about. And this is not the right place. Interior design, and that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out with Captain Smith's sitting room lately. So, okay, I did find it. So we got a couple of choices with Captain Smith's sitting room. So let me just click this one, and I'll click another one. So first we have this one. Ignore Captain Smith sitting there. He's just there to be like, I'm Captain Smith, enjoying my tea. So he's enjoying his tea. I'm gonna find the other one, and then yes, we all are talking about how could be white because the artifact in question that we are using to possibly make the that Geo is using to make the paneling, because we don't just make things, we don't just throw things together with no artifacts. We're using artifacts from Olympic. The artifact in question is painted white. And oh, Paul, thank you so much for the 10 euros. I appreciate it. No, sorry I have ruined the carpeting for you a little bit. That you never noticed the wrecked carpet in those photos before. Sorry about that. I'm sorry I have ruined Titanic a bit. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, so we're playing with two possibilities right here. I mean, so the artifacts in question, that's, my chair is not working, that Geo, the genius Geo, there are remnants of these pilasters around. One of these pilasters exists from Olympic right here, as you can see right here, and then one of these panels, and also this door frame, and this door, this door too. So these are the bits that we're putting together, and we can't figure out where the books come from. I mean, the books. We can't figure out where these bits came from. So at the end of the day, we kind of just throw bits together to make an amalgamation of a room. And I mean, this is based off of several other ships. Oceanics was like this. It had ship paintings, vistas around, was painted white, with a lower portion oak dado. Doric's was similar, very, very similar to this, honestly, with pilasters. Adriatics was somewhat like this. So yeah, the bathroom is behind us. Two rooms behind us, by the way. Will there be real life characters in the game? Very difficult, Ivan, to do that. There will be. Ooh, I can zoom in on those flowers. Very much so. We don't want. The thing about real life characters is we don't want the real. We're putting in so much detail. And real life characters are difficult to make, though. We don't want our characters to look like this when we have the game. No offense to the renders that Geo made. So what we're doing is you're definitely going to be able to hear realistic people talk. That we definitely know for now. Zoom in on this one a little bit more. We can't anymore, but yeah. So yeah, we're working on the on Captain Smith's sitting room and quarters. The irony is that the rest of the officers' quarters are very plain compared to Captain Smith's quarters, which is appropriate, I'd imagine. This window's open. The every other cabin for every other officer is just like this, except with tile. Kyle, he's not here. With our favorite tile design. Our favorite tile design in the whole world, which I get sick of seeing. This is the pattern that I on Titanic that is this green or red? Barb Cross is red. That I get sick of seeing. White walls, black trim, and a red floor. You gotta love it. That's nothing but Titanic. That's it. That's the color scheme of Titanic's interiors. White, black, and red. White, black, and red, or just off-white, black and red. So, you know. So, we'll let you guys know when we have an idea, when we know what his sitting room finally looks like. I'm leaning towards white myself. I mean, it matches a few. I mean, that's just hard. This matches a couple of descriptions. This matches some illustrations. You kind of have like they both match different things. It's difficult. You gotta go with, you got difficult choices. You know, you gotta read between the lines. I said that last time when you talk about Olympics auction catalog. You gotta read between the lines, and that's what we have people to do, and that's what I don't want to do. And it's never ending. Luckily with BDEC we know a lot about BDEC already. I would say BDEC is well understood and researched and ready to go, compared to any other deck, which is why I think we picked it. The only scary zone left. The only scary zone left is right here, the galley, and the pantry, and that's the only scary area. I'm gonna be very scared, but that's not for like a few more months. That's not for a few more months. Let's just push that over there. Let's just push that right there. We don't have to think about that. So yeah, everything's painted white on Titanic. You know, I was just saying that. Look at everything's painted white. Literally all the corridors are gonna be white or oak. I'm gonna tell Gio to paint that room blue. You guys. I'm gonna tell you that it's gonna be painted blue, and it is difficult to model the galley because there are so many different pieces of equipment, and oh my God, what is going on here? Is that right? Okay, that is right. There are so many different pieces of equipment that are unique and special and custom for Olympic and Titanic, and there are also this is an unknown space because there's no real Titanic plans to go off of, and no, there's no bathrooms attached to the restaurant. There's no toilets here. The closest toilet, if you're eating in the restaurant and you need to use the bathroom, you got to walk all the way to this area right here, which is kind of silly. Well, you probably could just go downstairs and then walk there. But yeah, there's a lot of unknowns there, and there's a fish tank. But there's a lot of unknowns here that we're gonna have to create. But it will be good because once we make a lot of the equipment in this space, which will still take a while, we'll have a lot of the equipment that will be required for the big boy, which is right in here, the pantry and the galley on D deck, which is going to be quite scary and an ordeal. But I don't think it's too That's a little further down the line. Yeah. Right now, we're gonna have to we're gonna finish these simple cabins. We have some opportunities that have been put in front of us to get some more models done faster via volunteers and people. Yeah, that's where the fish tank was. That's where we can have that never-ending joke that's almost as bad as the pool on Titanic. I think there were 2 fish tanks on Titanic, actually. Was there a fish tank? Was there a fish tank down here? Oh my God! Yeah, there was a fish tank down here. Okay, so there was a fish tank on B deck, and there's a fish tank down on G deck. Okay, so yeah. So yes, there's 2 fish tanks on Titanic. You wouldn't want to be a fish in either of them because one's in the breakup zone, pretty much, and the other one is it's down on G deck in the refrigerated area, and that's just a bad day. But I mean, and if you're in a crushed space, that's just not I mean, and you're probably not even the right type of fish to be in the North Atlantic, I'd say. And I think these fish need to be near the seabed, and they're not going to want to. They can't go down 2.5 miles to the bottom of the ocean to find food. But yes, there's going to be a lot of modeling developments in the interior. The interior is going to be. I'm looking forward to getting. I'm looking forward to getting the interior ball rolling, because there's going to be then just constant zoom 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 of progress, because we already have a lot of the furniture done for all this area, because it was all done in opening up my folders again. There's already a lot of sorry, I'm looking for it. Here it is. Open file location. When you explored Demo 3, you already saw a lot of the furniture that was used in these simple cabins. Like this wardrobe is in all these cabins. This bed is in all these cabins. This wash basin, all these cabins. This guy, which is a luggage rack. This dresser in all these cabins. We got this. This is not good. This is not good at all. We gotta change some of that. But yeah, all this stuff is in the cabins. We gotta change some of this. But yeah, all this is in the cabins already, and we have it, and just needs some nice, some new textures a bit. But yeah, it's already been modeled and ready to be plopped in. Just a few new things need to be added to. Oh, there's a Pullman berth. We even have that. I didn't know that. So yes, there is a bunch of assets already made, and these cabins will just go right on by. So I'm very excited about that. So that's why it seems like there's a big lot of the ship that's just gonna take forever, but it's all gonna just go by pretty fast until we get to the period suites, and it's gonna be a while until we get to those standard Harlem style cabins. These are technically called period style cabins, but this is Harlem style cabin B, and it's one of the I forgot how many, 17 period styles. I already forgot. I counted and put it in a post once the other day. But this style is used quite a bit between unique period style cabins, along with a French cabin style, which is period style cabin A, which is modeled after Louis XV, a very lovely French style cabin, which we don't have. What was also should have been Rose's cabin. Fish, I've been tagged. Fish, according to TTSM, refers to the area of cold storage of fish. The tank probably refers to tank as in ventilation. Are you talking about the tank I just scrolled down to right here? Because it's definitely a fish tank, not a ventilation tank. Because I have the ventilation plans. This is not, there's not a ventilation shaft right here. There's not a, if that's what you mean. This is a fish tank. And let's see. I don't think there were any actual, but I don't even know if there were actual live lobsters. I mean, they did have lobster thermidor, I believe, on the menu in the a la carte restaurant, but because I've had that lovely book for the last meal on Titanic. I've only made the first class dining saloon meals because I don't want to ruin a lobster meal. I can't do that. I've made good. I keep scrolling to this. I'm not going to be able to do it because I need to have somebody else here to talk as I talk, and it's not happening. Kyle's not going to wake up, but I'm going to. I love everybody here, but I think I'm going to head out as it is now 7:30 my time. But this was very fun. No, it's definitely a fish tank. It's definitely a fish tank. They had fish tanks aboard Titanic. They had 2 of them. It's not a ventilation tank. I'm 100% certain about that. So there were 2 fish tanks on Titanic, and one is in right here, and the other is on B deck, right here. But again, I'm gonna end the stream. I'd never made the chicken lyonnaise. This is why I think I definitely want to end, because I'm talking about food. But I want to thank everyone for joining. I'm sorry that I did more. I'm gonna try to organize this when Kyle can be here so he can talk more, and I can actually focus on getting things done. Because I'm learning that I can only do so much at the same time, especially when there's more people in the chat than just a few. Because I can't focus so much. So I hope that I can do this again soon. As we've done like a few in like several times. I'm so surprised. That's why there was a surprise Pikachu there, by the way, everybody, because I didn't expect to do another one. So yes, thank you everybody for joining us again. I appreciate the support of you guys for coming out, and I hope the next time that we have one, I won't forget the watch. I'll make sure that there's a watch in one of the cubby holes in the safe, in the first class purser's safe, in one of those deposit box, and hopefully we'll have a slip there too with it. And the next time there is a stream, I'll let you all know again. And I don't have an ending video, so I'm gonna have to end this awkwardly with just a goodbye. I'm sorry. But thank you all for joining. I hope you all had fun and learned some stuff. So yeah, thank you all. 140 viewers, surprise Pikachu. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people here. Thank you all for checking us out again. I will see you all next time. Take care, and maybe then we will hear from Kyle. Let's see. Take care, everyone. Good night.